Hello everyone, today I'm talking about our favorite topic, Defender's Advantage. It's most neglected and it's very important for the game. So straight to the chase, Defender's Advantage is the fact that the attacker cannot lose attacking stones, while the defender can lose some stones or even a lot of stones receiving the attack. So the burden is actually on the attacking side, and also the defender doesn't have to capture anything. The defender can make a piece of territory, make two eyes, settle the group, and it's very the bar to make an attack a failure is very low. And so this means that a lot of small gote moves that are generally non-threatening, now they threaten to make the defending group survive, and therefore they become sente moves. And so this is a great aid for doing the most important thing in Go, which is sustainable development. So in this way, the defending player can use the weak group and weaknesses as an asset to help him or her develop. So this sounds too good to be true, but like all Go concepts that are important, this one is AI approved. And so here we saw the opening picture. This is a snapshot of the third game between Alphago and Sedol. Remember, we this one is so this game we're going to look at to really cement the fact that Defender's Advantage and using it is AI approved. What is more AI than Alphago, the first AI to beat the top human players? So this is game 3 of Sedol versus Alphago 5-game match. They are gonna play the 5 games regardless of who wins. And Alphago is already winning 2-0 at this point. So Sedol is brought out his trademark attacking style, and Sedol in the third game went for this moyo. And we are going to see how Alphago is able to use Defender's Advantage to take a big lead in this game. First, a provocative double space jump. This does leave a very valid attach and cut move. And so a couple of moves later, White looks like White is in a lot of danger. White is clearly under attack. Black has more stones in the area, and you and I can both see that the 4 white stones are now under attack. Next, we'll see how White uses Defender's Advantage to take an advantage in the game. So first, the AI move here is to slide over here. A similar move would be a press. This would be surrounding some territory and shoring up all the weaknesses in the black shape, connecting the corner to the outside and everything. That's a good example of sustainable development. But at this point, Black is really looking to attack White. So the next move looks and feels very reasonable. This is a very strong move, splitting White up totally. And here is one feature of Defender's Advantage we want to note here. The defender White can definitely and will sacrifice this outside stone. This stone can die, no problem. And so here, after White plays a turn, it's not particularly sente, but once Black attempts to really go for the capture, like the severe attack against White, now White has all these other resources, counters, threatens the corner, and then jumps out all the way out to the third line and all the way out here. And pretty soon we can quickly see how White is able to make a very comfortable life on the left-hand side. If Black blocks here, White can push out, and the 3 black stones is now cut off, and this counterattack is also gonna ensure White's safety. This one, it's not a particularly sente move, but at this moment, because of the follow-up like threats against the corner. They're not like killing threats or anything, but it's enough to make this move a sente move. So when Lee Sedol plays the next move, extend down, we see the effect of this defender's advantage. Normally speaking, no way Black plays a small move extending to the second line, not particularly doing much. But right now Black wants to keep the attack going against White, and so this move has to be played. And so this way Black, the attacker, is actually slowed down in his development versus the defender. So a very good example of using a defender's advantage. At this point in the game, there's a second example, and this is the attacker can't lose stones while the defender can lose stones. This is very important because it makes any exchange of stones, or most exchanges of stones, favorable for White. For example here, Black seals White in. White was going to go for this double Hane move. If Black captures one White stone, remember, the defender can lose stones, but the attacker cannot. So White can sacrifice 2 stones already, maybe 2 more, but there is no way Black can sacrifice these 2 stones on the outside. That would make White safe. That's too much value. And so Black is going to end up extending out, and then the other 3 stones can't be sacrificed either, and pretty soon White will be able to use this, not even to capture Black stones, but just to settle the White stone group and destroy more territory. So this was very, very nice. And here's a key move, is the double Hane, really using defender's advantage and allowing the possibility of losing stones. And that's why Black was forced to play another extending down move, this time down to the third line. Not so bad, but this does give White a very comfortable jump out. And so here you can see Alphago really, really using defender's advantage to White's advantage in this game. And it was very, very nice to see. And so at this point when I was watching, of course I was very, hopeful that hoping that the human would win, hoping for Lee Sedol, and at this moment it looked pretty okay. Black is developing and attacking at the same time, but here the burden for the attacker is really felt. When White played this move, remember the defender as White could lose a lot of stones, but the attacker can't. Black can't lose 3 stones. That would be a big, big failure. White surrounds points inside Black's moyo. That's the worst nightmare for all professional Go players. And so if you can't lose the 3 stones, you have to save them. And so the way that saving the stones will go will show another case, a great example of using defender's advantage. White does not go for very complicated cross-cutting fights here, but here White goes for something I call fancy peeps. This is definitely a very, very important skill to pick up. It's perhaps the most important skill to pick up from the AI. Not like reading a million variations. It's not calculating, counting. It's fancy peeps. Alright, so this move is peeping at the Black 4 stones. It's threatening to surround Black. It's a threat which is very, very similar to peeping at a cut. The next move, White does not go for the cut. White goes for another fancy peep. White is close to connecting. All this time, White is doing a very, very good job of doing sustainable development at settling the weak White group. And remember, White's criteria for success is much, much lower. Just has to make the group safe, or get some value, something, get an exchange, while the criteria for success for the attacking side is much, much greater. All these moves are great examples of fancy threats, and we can see here 6 Black moves versus 6 White moves. White has placed all the stones generally on the outside. There is another Hane connecting sente and extends to make an eye. That's already a lot of value. And and 5, 7, 9, and the other 2 stones, the 5 white stones are already destroying the left-hand side black potential, and cutting the black stone off is now like all of a sudden black has 2 weak groups. This is all because black had to play all these moves in order to continue to attack white. Remember, using your weakness as an asset is not impossible. It's actually very, very valid and AI approved. And so the rest of this game, white has a very, very good advantage at this point. And these moves, we can clearly see a very white is developing and black is clearly developing much, much slower. And so getting on the defensive end and then using defender's advantage was super effective for white in this game at establishing a very, very good lead. Remember, just because you are traditionally, we always associate the advantage to the attacker, and we always think of the attacking fights in terms of how much can the attacker gain from this fight. But in this case, it was the defender who was gaining from the fights. White did development while under attack, and Alphago really used his weaknesses as an asset and used black's attack against white, turned it around. This is very, very, very helpful. And as you guys can see, we'll bring another, right now we're going to bring another theoretical tit points into this. So right now, what could be more AI approved than the grandfather, the first, the legend, the first strong AI ever. So the key with these fancy peeps and grabbing these beneficial exchanges while you have the defender's advantage, while the opponent answers you, is because you're weak, you are able to get it, and these are all valuable moves. Anytime you gain valuable moves, it's always good for developing yourself and winning the game. Here we bear in mind this concept, and remember the opening we had. How does sting like bees factor into this? And that is, bees are famous for stinging you, even if it means losing the bee's life. All the bee wants to do is to make you attacking the bee or the beehive very expensive and uncomfortable and hurt when you do that. And so doing these fancy peeps can be seen as bee stings. Grabbing these beneficial exchanges make your weak group very expensive to attack. You have to get ready to accept a lot of these losing exchanges, bad exchanges, and it really further commits you to to attempt something harder, like killing the group and stuff. Once you make yourself very expensive to attack, as you can imagine, no one will want to attack you anymore. And this actually is more true than I ever imagined in the professional scene. There's a famous quote that says, "It's very hard to kill a professionals group," and it's because of defender's advantage. So keep this in mind. Attacking something carries great risks to the attacker as well as the defender. Okay. Here, the next game example we'll show a good example of this. Now this is a game between 2 North American professionals. It's Minju and Alex. We're not so interested in the game itself, but the a particular joseki that is very common nowadays. So don't worry, it's coming up at this moment. Here is the joseki. black is up by 1.5 at this moment, still basically even. So this joseki, one simple joseki is Atari extend. The AI almost always favors this over the cutting joseki, but the cutting attacking move is so tempting to play. As Go players, we always long for the for doing damage to the opponent. So this is the basic shape. A couple of AI approved follow-ups. One is to attach, another one is to jump. The jump is a very defensive, almost wimpy move, and for some good reasons. At this point, it's very, very tempting to play the game move of the knight's move. So this looks super dangerous for black. The 3 black stones are almost totally captured, but remember a defender's advantage. When black is almost being captured and white sort of extended himself with a knight's move, which is famously cuttable in the middle of the board, black is now going to use black's danger to go for some very important and interesting plays. Hane, Tiger's Mouse, and the next move, there is a choice. This is actually the best move to go shore up the corner, play this Atari, get rid of the ice base and everything. But how could you not? After white played this move in the game, it looks like black is really about to die. And it looks really, really good. Also here, it's very important to crawl out and then extend, make the white corner comfortable in life. But if you extend out, remember the attacker can't lose stones. If you crawl out, black just captures 1 stone, the corner lives, and you could feel that the attack is a failure. And so it's very reasonable for white to keep the attack going, and the only way to keep the attack going is to play S19 or save the S18 stone. This of course leaves a future turn in Sente. White has to survive on the inside. Hane, and then play here, and white is gonna die. Remember, so white is now, in another way, white is paying a lot of these future, Sente move losses in order to do the attack against black. And this further commits white to attacking this black group. This is very, very strong. Like if white blocks out here, remember, white has already given up that Sente turn. If white allows black to live easily over here on the right hand side, that would be a failure. So this is another advantage to the defender. You just have to survive, or survive well, in order to make the attack a failure. And you can sort of, when white plays this wedging move, clearly white's shape is not efficient, black looks like he's in danger, but the white cutting point in the middle is showing up more and more. And this is where when white further extends the strong attack with this jump, now black sounds a counterattack. The cutting point here is Sente, cutting point here is Sente, and pretty soon white is unable to get out of this without losing some significant value here. In this case, only the right hand side 2 stones, but it was already still a very big loss. So how come white played this one? It must have been, remember all the Sente moves that white is giving up from earlier, including the T18 in Sente, which was already gotten, and the future M18 block. So now if white allows black to surround some 3rd line territory and survive, shore up the middle, this is going to be a failure for white, because the attack didn't yield anything, the corner is small, and black gets a very large Sente turn at M18. And so this is why white probably overextended and did this. And the game goes on, and here we're going to turn on the AI scores. So So we started this slightly in favor of black. Here, the first move, not the biggest problem yet. This is very common where the AI wants you to sort of, the first idea, not necessarily so bad yet. You can still circle back, continue to do your sustainable development. Atari here you see here, allow black to survive and just continue to play the development game. But white didn't play the knight's move to just allow black to live on the side. So white goes for more attacks. The sente move, and in this move, every move is a sente, a normally gote move that is now sente that white answers. And so this, the AI already knows that white is not going to gain much from the attack, but it's very hard for us to figure that out. But whether figuring it out or not, the future course of the game will prove that out. And and the game does show later that black does get this turn, black does get the value, the development, and black never looked back in this game since. That's why it's very, very difficult to continue and profit from attacking, because when you're attacking, you have to make sure that none of your stones die. When you're defending, when white Atari is here, black does not have to connect the one stone. That's not that important for black. So here, the attacker has a burden, the same second line stone. Black doesn't have to connect the S17 stone, but white had to connect the S18 stone in order to continue attacking. This is a great example of a joseki that, it always looks very dangerous for the defender, but that's where also danger is opportunity. And so here we go back to another theory. Okay, here. Remember, defender's advantage, danger is the opportunity here. It's not that danger comes with opportunity, it's that danger itself, as the way it was used in the games that we saw, the danger to your group itself is what allowed you to develop and get those sente moves. And so it's very, very nice. Now this has implications. And so this means thickness is very, very important, because if your group is safe, it can't be counter-threatened. You don't have to worry about some sente moves here and so on. And here we are going to talk about the separation of thickness and influence and how that affects the modern mainstream way, or the metagame it is so often called in Go. Alright, the last game we're going to see here is this one. And this one is my own, and this one is aptly named Top Predator Game. And so this is my, I have a lot of fun trying to employ defender's advantage in my games. I was playing white in this game, and so here the top is pretty even. White has a jump, black has a one stone, white has a weak corner, black has a weak corner. It's very, very balanced. It's a super open position, and we can all decide what to do based on our proclivities and our styles and things like that. And as you guys know by now, I really like to use defender's advantage, and so to use defender's advantage, we would like to have a weak group. So at this moment, is it okay for black to jump out and fight it out? Yes, absolutely. What did I do? Take a corner territory move. Take a peep and take another corner territory move. We have ourselves the weak group here. As you guys can see, this is largely AI approved. This diagonal move is a great example of defender's advantage. This diagonal move is nothing special. The threat is to push here and then connect. How big is this? It's not that big, but Right now, if white wants to attack black, white cannot allow this connect underneath. So here's going to be a fighting point between me and the opponent for the next several moves. And you can see white understands if white plays m18, black just played, it's like black got this sente move that he had no, that I had no rights to get. And if white allows this to happen, this is an empty triangle and everything. So at this moment, you'll see white play this move, continues to strengthen the left-hand side in anticipation of attacking this group. Remember, we always think about this in terms of how much is the attacker gaining from having a stronger position. But today we are not thinking like that. White plays another honey and tiger mouse move. The group is looking more and more in danger. Atari and here white has had it. This is way too much. Every move black has played on the outside, neglecting this middle group. So white plays this move, really committing to the attack, basically. And connect here is sente 2, and at this moment this position looks extremely dangerous for black. You guys saw the two good AI moves. One is here on the outside, one is here on the outside. But what does that mean? That means black is going to survive on the bottom. So I'm sure most of the viewers, including myself, would have a very hard time not playing this jump. The outside seems to be pretty COD in anyways. What's stopping us from going for the kill? And here black's defense is going to be another good showcase of defender's advantage. Now normally, remember, the defender can lose stones, the attacker can't. White can push and cut, yes, definitely. White can capture 2 stones, but the defender can lose 2 stones, no problem. The attacker, can't allow black to move out in this very comfortable shape. White will have to play another move here later to survive there. Big failure for white. Big failure for the attacker if the attacker captures 2 stones. Let that sink. So that's the asset of the defender, or the advantage of the defender here. But on the other hand, there's no way white can allow something like that to happen, because this is black's endangered group surviving with a lot of points. So here the attacker cannot lose the 2 stones. The defender can lose the 2 stones. Either way, it is advantage to the defender. So you can see how the choices, the moves are really limited for the attacking side, and a lot of these normally equivalent possibilities are closed to the attacker but open to the defender. That's why white had to connect here this way. And similarly, remember, another thing was the attacker can't allow the defender to make a few points. And this would be a great example. Black Ataris makes a few points and then lives in sente, making the attack a failure. So white goes and sticks in, of course, and sticks in again, and this allows, remember, white cannot allow these stones to get captured, so white has to fix all of these. But as you guys can see here, white has now played 4 stones on the first line, a couple on the second line, so efficiency wise it is really down the drain. And black is able to counterattack against white now, and all of a sudden it's the hunter has become the hunted, the attacking white group has become the hunted. And this is all because while attacking, white had to play some relatively inefficient and slow moves, and this allowed the defender to cover ground quickly, to develop faster, and then sound the counterattack. White was able to get a ko here, a little desperate, but good that white was able to find a Ko, but still it was overall good for black. Namely, we'll turn on the AI here to see how much. See here, it's all okay as long as white refrains from committing to the attack, and this is really, really AI approved. Defender's advantage is AI approved, but there's very little literature or Go theory out there that really talks about it. So I think we're doing a good job. So I hope this helps out the game. All right. Good. As this is how black established a great advantage. Black would squander some of that with allowing the code to happen, but as long as on the flip side, if black didn't go for the kill, black would be totally fine. How ironic. Anyways, so this defender's advantage has major implications to how the game is played. Now we just the last point of theory is, so what's important in Go, most of you guys have heard of the territory versus outside influence or thickness approach to the game. It's very, very important for us to separate out the thickness and the influence. Influence is like what white had in the last game, that was counter-attackable, was not super strong. Thickness is stones groups that are super safe. Now, as you guys can see here, thickness, safety often comes with territory. Like if you have 10 points for sure, that's really thickness. Whereas a long outside wall, like this one for white, that's only influence, that's not very strong. So the value of having thickness is really, really important. It's really, really high. But the value of having influence, like having 3 stones here, which is clearly facing the outside, having like these 3 stones down here, is not very big because your groups have not become safe yet. And as long as they are liable to be threatened, a lot of opponents' moves will be sente around these points. And sente is exactly why it is very important to play around influence. But if it's thickness, you can't threaten it. Everything around thickness is gote, and so you don't want to play around thickness. The drastic, totally opposite way of playing, the way of playing around influence, the way of playing around thickness, the drastically 100% opposite. We want to, everything is gote around thickness, everything is sente around influence. That's what makes thickness greatly more valued than influence. And so here we can see how the modern game is very focused on one, sustainable development, but the 3-3 invasion directly, we can see here in this example, it's very, very liked because pretty soon black, the invading 3-3 player can make territory and make thickness, the 2 most important values in the game. And so the new metagame features a lot of these 3-3 invasions, a little bit less like big moyos battling each other out, this kind of thing. And so a lot of players really lament this this way of of playing, but I don't. It's very, very interesting, and when outside uncertain influence is coupled with thickness, if you have influence that can't be threatened, it's all very, very interesting. And I have found that thinking of the game in these 3 broad baskets of value or types of value is very, very helpful for our decision making. So when you see a moyo that you want to invade, identify if it's mostly influence, counter-attackable, go ahead and invade. If it is thickness, it is safe, you want to stay away from that. So as you guys can see, defender's advantage has major implications to how the game is played. The game is now much more focused on sustainable development and sort of refraining away from committing to attacks. And so it is no longer, how dare you leave a weak group on the board, and it is rather, how dare you attack my group without doing sustainable development at the same time. This is very interesting. And of course, as all good Go principles, defender's advantage is AI approved, and it has much applications outside the Go board as well. Okay, so lastly, let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment. We already see how the bee sting is a great employment of defender's advantage in nature. Let me know of another in real life existence or sign of defender's advantage. This could be, I think there's a lot, but I will leave it to the audience to find some. Leave a comment. What do you think is a great application of defender's advantage in real life or on the Go board? And hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's my favorite topic. I talk about it all the time, and I hope you guys enjoyed this and start to win more games and or to understand why some games are lost. See you guys in the next one.